Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to today's reading from Sri Damodara Janani, Lord Damodar's Mother by Sri Sivarama Swami. We are going to be beginning chapter 8, Sri Damodara's Mother today. Ukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatam ham vande Shri Gurum Deen Tarinam Parmananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Nemam virincho na bhavo na shrir api anga samashraya prasadam lebhire gopi yat tat prapa vimukti dat. Neither Lord Brahma nor Lord Shiva nor even the goddess of fortune, who is always the better half of the Supreme Lord, can obtain from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the deliverer from this material world, such mercy as received by Mother Yashoda. So this chapter is based on Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 9, verse 20. So let's begin. Being bound and shackled was a new experience, and at first Krishna did not like it. He tested the rope around his belly. The tight knot held fast. He pulled on the motor. It would not budge. Frustrated at his predicament, Krishna's eyes welled with tears. Seeing this, the monkeys became increasingly excited, and his friends lovingly tried to console him. And while the diverse residents of the universe felt for Krishna's plight, the picture of his crying lotus face mesmerized them with its beauty and made them forget his sorrow and its cause. Generally, only perfected devotees would see such transcendental beauty in trance, but Krishna had let loose the floodgates of his mercy, and so anyone with eyes could see him effortlessly. His heart's sorrow unrestrained. Krishna's facial features bloomed like a lotus bud slowly opening, revealing his fully blossomed divine beauty. And although he was in distress, being the very essence of bliss, his visage removed everyone else's distress. His deep blue hair flowed like the glossy waters of the Yamuna, shimmering red like the vermilion from the gopi's breast, or with the glow of his passionate disposition, or with the pollen of red lotuses. Curly locks surrounded Krishna's exquisite face in the way that lazy bees swarm a blue lotus, sometimes trembling, sometimes swaying, sometimes dancing. His silky, smooth cheeks, adorned with the rouge from Mother Yashoda's kisses, were further ornamented with the effulgence from his earrings, exertion from his labor, and rivulets from his tears, and his face was a fathomless lake in which swam the youthful fish of his restless eyes, darting to and fro while filling the directions with shafts of fear, mischief, and determination. Some boys tried to ease Krishna's embarrassment by offering him a snack. "Friend, would you like me to ask my mother for some yogurt?" At the sound of the word yogurt, Krishna became aware of his hunger. The skirmish with Mother Yashoda had crossed the timeline of several meals during which he had not eaten a thing. Spontaneously, Krishna's mind switched into strategic mode, and he replied, "Silly, your mother is at my house. Why bother her? Some of you should run to your untended homes and see what is available." With shouts of joy, some boys ran home and took whatever butter, yogurt, or sweets were accessible, loaded down with an assortment of delicacies. The Gopas hurried back with their spoils and proceeded to feed Krishna. In this way, Damodar and the Gopas enjoyed a picnic in which the motor served as a handy dais. Feeling refreshed from his meal and enlivened by the exuberance of his friends, Krishna started to test the motor. How heavy was it? He tugged. With the strength of a little boy, he could only rock it, but when a few Gopas pushed it, Krishna was able to move the motor slightly. Here was another game. Pull the motor. Krishna thought of dragging the motor to a more open space, and he soon discovered that when he pulled downhill, the motor was naturally easier to move. Seeing Krishna's success, the boys laughed and clapped, and he responded with louder laughter, flaunting his muscles and making funny faces. Placing his hands under his armpits, he flapped his crossed arms to display his strength. The motor was in quandary how can I disobey the queen? Queen's plan and spoil her hard-earned victory, but then how can I resist the Lord? Fortunately for the mortal, it had little choice in the matter, since Krishna had discovered a new sport that he was intent on playing. There would be a little hope of resisting him. Indeed, Krishna was enjoying himself so much that he lost all desire to be freed of his bonds. In this way, he transformed a setback into a sport. To the applause of his friends, Krishna slowly dragged the mortar here and there, occasionally sitting down to catch his breath. During one such breather, Krishna thought, by this pastime I have made known three things: that I come under the control of my devotee, the transcendental eminence of my mother, and the power of spontaneous love for me. By knowing these truths, those devotees who aspire for the ultimate perfection will know both the means for and the end of that attainment. While Krishna was thinking in this way, the wise birds of Vraja began to praise the extraordinary perfection of Mother Yashoda, filling the gardens of Gokul with uncommon songs. As the birds chattered about how Krishna comes under the control of his devotee, the songbird from Mathura, a regulative devotee, asked, "What difficult to perform austerity did the Queen of Vraja do to be so blessed by the Providence?" While some birds continued with their chatter, others, like the owl, stopped cold and pierced the songbird with a glance. Unsure what he had said wrong, the songbird looked around at his superiors. Finally, the sober owl said, "Foolish bird, do you think that austerities or blessings enable someone to become the mother of God and then to bind him up? If so, you are mistaken." Shuka added serenely, "Yashoda Devi's good fortune is not acquired, it is eternal, and as such she is the recipient of Lord's greatest mercy." As he spoke these words, Shuka's feathers stood on end in ecstasy, as did the feathers of those birds that heard him. No one has received such mercy as she. Hearing those words, the birds launched into a comparative study of the mercy received by Mother Yashoda and that received by other devotees. In the book, there is a beautiful picture where you see Lord Damodara dragging the mortar along. The dove introduced that everyone present already agreed on. Although appearing as a child, Krishna is the supreme master, and everyone up to Brahma, Shiva and Lakshmi Devi are his servants. Other birds excitedly continued one after the other, and we have long known that the Devas recently concluded, which is that Krishna has the attribute of subordinating himself to his servant, but all devotees are not the same, because the strength of the devotion varies. Therefore, they receive different degrees of his mercy. That is the principle of ye yatha mam prapadyante. Shari interjected, and because her devotion to Krishna is superlative, the mercy Queen Yashoda received is unequaled. What she secured is something exceptionally wonderful. Hearing Shari's voice trembling with divine emotion, the bird's feathers again stood up in ecstasy, and they remained speechless for a few moments before resuming their Harikatha. Who else has obtained such mercy? No one. Krishna is the patron of liberation, Mukti, but the special liberation, Vimukti, that Sri Yashoda enjoys has eluded Brahma, Rudra and even Lakshmi ji. A flock of jungle babblers echoed each other. They did not attain it, they did not. The Mathura songbird added, "You mean others did not get such mercy that they could tie up the Lord?" Again the babblers replied, "Neither Lord Brahma nor Lord Shiva, nor even the goddess of fortune." The Mathura songbird looked around cautiously. Seeing his reserve, the wise owl assured him, "Disclose your thoughts without fear, that we can make known the glory of our Queen." The songbird revealed his mind, but the Lord Brahma is the primeval demigod, the son of the Lord and the first guru of devotees. Indeed, he is a qualitative incarnation of Lord Krishna. The other birds responded, "But did he ever bind Krishna to mortar? Never. The Creator can only hear about the mercy Yashoda Devi received." The Mathura songbird continued, "Lord Shiva is a greater devotee than Brahma, the greatest, and he is the Lord's self. Surely, but he has never chased and caught Krishna or reprimanded the Lord. What to speak of having bound Krishna's belly with a rope? And if you want to ask about Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, we offer her our pranams, for she is the Lord's wife, constant associate and dearly beloved. Certainly she has taken shelter of the Lord's body and thus resides always on his chest. The songbird tentatively added, certainly she must have had mercy like this gopi. No, she did not. The owl patiently explained, neither will it be possible for Lakshmi to ever attain the mercy showered on Queen Yashoda. The babblers never, never, never. Why? Having taken shelter of the Lord, Lakshmi Devi's conception is that she belongs to him. She is Tadiya. Her knowledge of his opulences overshadows the more intimate conception of Madiya, which means Krishna belongs to me. So Tadiya is that she belongs to him, and Madiya is the more intimate conception, which means Krishna belongs to me. And Tadiya is that she belongs to Krishna. The songbird was starting to understand, but as Krishna's mother, Yashoda Devi is different, much different, continued the owl. Yashoda Devi is unaware of Krishna's greatness and she simply thinks, I am my child's only shelter, only my efforts can secure his welfare. In other words, her exclusive frame of mind is that Krishna belongs to her, but Lakshmi resides on Lord's chest. Then you can argue that she controls his chest, but that is all. Mother Yashoda controls his body and his being. The wagtail was not as generous in his assessment of Lakshmi, but just because she resides on his chest is not a guarantee that she has brought his chest under her control. The owl bobbed his head up by way of compromise. In either case, from the perspective of Mellows, Lakshmi cannot relish the same mercy as Yashoda Devi, although she is predominantly in the mood of friendship, higher than Brahma's and Shiva's mood of servitorship. Above her is Yashoda Devi with the purest form of motherhood. Others added, Lakshmi Devi's relationship is lower than Yashoda Devi's, therefore her love is weaker, and so the mercy she receives is not the same. Compared to the love of Yashoda, the love of Brahma, Shiva and Lakshmi are inferior, and so the Lord's reciprocation with them is weaker. The owl concluded, at most we could say that these great souls obtained half as much mercy as did Yashoda, but they could not get an equal amount of mercy, and if they did not, then no one else did. No one else? Not one? The Mathura songbird was thrilled to have the privilege of seeing such a great devotee of Krishna as Mother Yashoda, yet he remained curious how Yashoda had attained the position of the Lord's mother, thus becoming the beneficiary of such mercy. Raja's birds could understand what was on Songbird's mind, and so Shuka spoke, Dear friend, Lord Brahma prays to take birth here in Gokul so that he can get the dust of one of Yashoda Devi's subjects on his head. He is therefore in no position to benedict anyone to become Krishna's parent. There may be different types of liberation, of which two are being on the same planet as Lord or having the same form as he. But Yashoda's liberated status is far above these. It is a special status of liberation called Vimukti. The songbirds asked, what is the speciality of Vimukti? It is the mature fruit of prema, the loving service of the Lord. It is. Yes, it is. Are you trying to describe it or given it a name? Yes, I am, but words escape me. Terms like Kripa or Prasad do not really do it justice. Although everyone here in Braja knows that what it is, it remains beyond definition. The owl added, it is what it is, that is all. Shuka continued, correct, it is simply Vimukti, and Krishna is the one who gives it. He is Vimuktida. Vimukti is what it is. So Vimukti is the mature fruit of prema, and who is the giver? Giver is Krishna. He gives the Vimukti, so he is called Vimuktida. So, dear friend, although you may have heard that Vasudrona and his wife Dhara performed austerities to have the Lord as their son, still you should know better than to think that demigods can become Lord's parents. Not a well-considered concept, said the wagtail. Bad logic, Drona and Dhara entered the bodies of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Devi, and in that way, by the grace of Krishna's eternal parents, these demigods enjoyed parenthood, that's all. Unable to restrain themselves further, the other birds sang, Queen Yashoda is Krishna's eternal mother. She is Nityasiddha. No practitioner could have become Yashoda, and no one will. She is exclusively his mother, eternal mother. That is the meaning of Vimukta, special liberation. Having concluded in this way, the birds became overwhelmed by ecstasy. Flittering on their branches and bobbing up and down, they sang the following song in chorus. Nimam virincho na bhavo na shrir api anga samashreya prasadam libhire gopi yat tat prapa vimuktidat. So how blessed the birds during Krishna's time in Braja. They used to discuss the Harikatha. Neither Lord Brahma nor Lord Shiva nor even the goddess of fortune, who is always the better half of the Supreme Lord, can obtain from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the deliverer from this material world. Such mercy is received by Mother Yashoda. Every time they sang the verse, the birds also responsively sang the last line. Yat tat prapa vimuktidat, yat tat prapa vimuktidat. When Krishna heard this wonderful song, he paused in his play and became absorbed in the thoughts of his mother and the unique devotion that she and the Vrajavasis harbored for him. They are so remarkable, their love is so unique, so rare, so wonderful, so powerful. So we'll continue our reading from here onwards next time. Thank you for joining. Hariam Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.